First of all, let me share a little story. And some of you have heard me say it before. I'm blessed because I've said many times that it was a public school that gave me a second chance. I went to Catholic school most of my life as a young boy. When my mother didn't have the money, I went to public school. And then in high school, I was kicked out of high school, a Catholic high school, and then went to public school. And I tell people, it was a Catholic school that gave me the foundation of everything I have. But it was a public school that gave me a second chance. A public school teacher, Herman Katz, that set high expectations for me, much as my mother had. He was a man that saw talent in me, and he helped to develop it and helped me see that talent again, as I had earlier in my life. You know, we're building all these schools. We ought to be able, when we build these schools, to have the same requirements on these schools that you have on my partnership schools. Metrics-driven reform, expectations on school safety, on achievement, on the dropout rate, on the Casey test, the high school exit exam, on a number of areas. And he looked at me and he said, well, we ought to think about that. And then we talked to the school board members a few months ago and said to them, we ought to do that for every new school that gets built. One of the reasons why we came up with that was because Santee was a brand new school, one of my partnership schools, a brand new school, a beautiful school, and among the lowest performing in Los Angeles. So we saw that just building a new school without changing the inside of the school wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. We knew we have to change the reform and the revolution that we want. It's got to be inside and outside. You know, they used to say, if you put lipstick on a pig, have you heard that? Remember that during the campaign? If you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Well, if you put a brand new building and you didn't change the instruction, you didn't work to bring parents in, you don't empower teachers, you don't create a different environment, it doesn't work. So, after sitting down with school board member Yoli Flores Aguilar and talking to her about it, she decided to put it up. She knew we were going to get a new school board now, 6 members of the school board who have said, I support reform. I support the partnership schools. I support empowering parents. I support collaborating with the mayor. I support a revolution, a transformation of the school district. So here we are. We have today the most far-reaching effort on the part of this school district to really institutionalize what we've begun. To really start to say that parents count, that parents have to be empowered, that teachers count. You know, don't you love it? I worked for the school district, the teachers union, for 8 years. I am passionate about teachers. I believe that teachers are the only people that are more important than teachers are parents, because they're the first teacher. But teachers are the most important part of any success in a school. So I can tell you, as someone who worked for them for 8 years, who fought for them in the legislature for 6, who's always stood up for them, don't let anybody tell you that what we are proposing is anti-teacher or anti-union. It is pro-student. It is pro-teacher because we want to empower teachers. It is pro-parent because we want to empower parents. It is pro-community because we want to bring the community into our schools. We want to bring the community into our schools. It is pro-accountability because it says, let's measure this. What's wrong with that? Let's measure it. It doesn't mean we're going to go after people when it breaks down, when it doesn't meet the measurement. What we're going to do is work with them to get it better. That's what we want to do. But we're tired of excuses. We're tired of excuses, and we're not going to take it anymore. And I stood with you and the Parent Revolution with Ben Austin and Mary and all of you because I believe in you, and I believe in your kids. You know, I went to South Africa. And I had the honor of meeting Nelson Mandela. I grew up, this bracelet here is a Nelson Mandela bracelet. I was in Soweto. Soweto was a township in South Africa. When I was a college student, just as I was getting out of college, there was a revolution began in Soweto by high school students and middle school students. And I was enthralled with it because I had been involved in the walkouts in 68, in 69, in 69, in 70 and 71. I had been involved in the movement of students to say we want better schools back in the East Side. And so I marveled at these black students who said, we don't want separate but equal, or separate and unequal, apartheid education. And I was at a museum, and this couple of weeks ago, I was at a museum, and it said they started this revolution, the students, because they had a 35% matriculation rate. That means a 35% graduation rate. You know what they had at Locke before it went to Green Dot? Probably a 30% graduation rate. You know what they had at Roosevelt, at Garfield, at Santee, at all of these schools? They say a 26. They denied it was 50, and then we had 5 different studies that said it was 50. We know that in some of these schools, it's a bit more than that. They had a revolution over the fact that most of their kids were failing. They weren't graduating. And that's why you are standing up for your kids. And you are saying, let's try something new. Let's have parent choice. Let's have student choice. Let's look at these new schools and the program improvement schools, the schools that are failing. And every one of them could have the teachers and the union there organize and say, we got a plan for a better school. We've got a plan to improve this school. It could be a charter operator. How many of you know Green Dot? Or the Alliance? It's a great, or all of them. It could be them. It could be the partnership schools. It could be just a community group saying, we're going to work with the teachers at that school and the parents there. We're going to put a plan together, and we're going to improve this school. What's wrong with choice? What's wrong with choice? You know, how many of you support President Obama? Well, President Obama supports choice. President Obama supports accountability. President Obama supports parent and teacher empowerment. There is nobody here that doesn't understand how important teachers are. And there's nobody here that doesn't understand that parents have a right to demand responsibility and accountability. But you've heard me say before, I'll be in a room with 2,000 parents and tell the parents, you also have a responsibility. I love when people tell me, well, I work 2 jobs. I said, excuse me, you decided to have a child? You work 2 jobs, you have a 3rd job, your children. That's accountability. That's responsibility. I'm here today because my mother, from when I was this small, would read to me. My mother always told me I could make it. I could reach for the stars, that I had within me the ability to do anything. She made sure I read. When I wasn't listening, She pulled me aside and held me accountable. She didn't hit me much, but, well, a little bit. That was the old days. That was the old days. But mostly, she gave me love and support, and she gave me an environment that nurtured learning. So, with that, I want to open it up. I'll give it to Ben, and then open it up to you. I want you to ask whatever questions you have. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, okay? Okay, gracias. Thank you.